My headset stopped working. Hmm.
You want to use these?
Okay, guys, can you hear me? It's not even letting me connect. This is horrible. Hi, guys. This is horrible. I can't. This is horrible. I'm sorry. I've been dealing with the system settings. I'm trying to get the computer to work. I can barely get Zoom to connect. I don't know what happened to the connection. I've restarted, I reset. I'm all. I'm trying, I reset everything. Trying to open Photoshop everything and it just isn't even connecting. I mean, Zoom, I couldn't even get the Zoom to connect to the class. I'd have to email you guys and say sorry. But now I connected. Anyway, can you guys hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see you.
Yeah, I had to take off my headsets because that wasn't connecting, but it's one, I don't even want to deal with that. Mainly, I just want to get the
See, I can
thing to connect.
see and hear.
Okay, good. All right, so all I need is to make sure that we get you guys to, if I need to keep being able to share, I can't teach much without being able to share, and just kind of pointing you to with my words doesn't really work. So let's keep going and hopefully it'll all work out. Oh, let me let Dorothy's second computer in. All right, so yeah. So I am going to turn off my chat. You guys aren't writing in the chat either. I'm just turning off and minimizing everything I can. And I might even mute my, stop my video that I forgot to do before. So I'm going to stop my own video. So that might be a little bit more helpful. I think everyone's in, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm opening, I'm going to go back to Photoshop and open the same file that I was working on before, which was the Gerber daisy. And I had to close everything down and restart everything. And hopefully it'll let me share again, but I can tell it's still quite slow, but oh well, we'll see. Oh, there's Patricia. So let me share my screen. Thank you, Bonnie, for helping Dorothy. And so here we are. Let me this bigger. Oh, someone else is coming in. Who's asking to come in? Participants. There you go. All right, you guys are in. All right. So here we go. Is oh, Florida's not here yet. Oh, I hope she can make it into. Okay. I hope she understood that she had to reconnect. All right, so let's make this mask more efficient. So especially since Flora isn't here yet and the rest of you guys have done some masking, I'd rather have you guys tell me if this mask wasn't really good enough, which it isn't. I'm going to do Command 1 again. Or no, sorry, I'm on the PC on VDI. I'm going to do Control 1. What should you guys think I should do? So it is working much better than it was before, by the way. At least it's panning, so it's It's much better than it was before break. It was barely functioning. So what should I do to get rid of this stuff? What's the best way to do this? What do you think?
Can you select and then copy and delete or something?
Select what? What would you
Select
have me select?
Around the blue. Or with a brush, maybe.
Yeah, so remember that what this means is that this was all turned into black in my mask. See the stuff that we don't see? And then the stuff that's pink and blue is white in my mask, right? Can you tell that? I'm looking at my mask here. And you can see that I'm seeing all the stuff that's white is kind of the flower shape is what I'm seeing. And all the stuff that's black, it's what was blue background is what I'm not seeing, right? Can you tell that? So that would imply that wherever I see blue, I need to maybe put what color on my mask?
Black, black.
So Peggy, Ann, Joyce, Penelope, Vera, I don't see you guys. Just want to make sure you're all there. You can hear me.
Yeah.
Am I getting, let me, give me in a chat that you're there.
You're
there.
doing
Okay,
fine.
just-
I'm here.
Oh, good. That's all. No, you don't need to be on. I just wanted to make sure that
Yep, we're
if
back.
I didn't see you, that it was not because I couldn't see you, that it wasn't that you weren't there, but as long as you're there, that's good. All right. So what this means is that in the mask that's hiding this background, the black part is hiding the background. And if I don't want this blue stuff, I need to make more black on that mask. Yeah. So the thing is that we don't paint on the mask though. Remember what we do is we paint on here with paint, with the black paint when we need to hide something and with white paint when we need to see something, right? So the most important thing of these two is that you could select either side, left side or right side. See that? I could be selecting the part with all the pixels intact where you saw the blue, or I could select this side of the layer where you see these white kind of lines showing me that I'm selecting the mask, the one that's just black and white, right? So it's very important that we don't select the pixels, because if I now start painting black on the pixels, it's as if I had taken a Sharpie marker and painted over, you know, one of some famous art piece, never to be recovered. Versus if I paint on this side right here, I'm just painting on the mask that's helping me cover some stuff. So it's very, very important that you have the right side of the layer selected. And we want to paint on the mask, okay? So once this side, you see the white lines around it, now we need to go find that black paintbrush. So I can go over here and see it, and I know which one it is, but there's many things that look like paintbrushes. So the easiest way to pick the right paintbrush is to use the shortcut on the keyboard, which is the letter B for brush. And when I use the letter B for brush, see how the right paintbrush got selected? Well, I don't know if you know, but the letter, that is the right, the one that came up is the right one, okay? Now, the color that my brush is going to paint in is going to be the color of my foreground. And right now my foreground is white. And if I want to hide that blue, what color should I be painting with?
Black.
Black, yeah. So I need to switch these two. Does anyone remember the shortcut for switching this order?
X.
The X key. All right. I don't want to click. A lot of people get tempted to click on here. And if you do click on here, please don't. But if you do, then you get the color foreground picker. And that's not what I want. So if this happens, just say cancel. And remember that we're not choosing another color. We just need to flip these around. So this little double-headed arrow flips them around right there, back and forth. But much easier than that, For those of you who remembered it rightly, it's the letter X. X, 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 X. I get the flip the background to the foreground. Got it? So we're gonna flip it until I have the foreground as black, because I want to paint some more black to hide some more of this blue. Okay. And then I'm going to change the size of my tool. And one of the things I can do is I can go over here where it shows a number of some kind. Yours might not say 45. It's just some number shows up here. And I'm going to click on that. And this changes the number, changes the size of my brush, this first slider. But I don't see the size of my brush. I need to move it out here to see and go, oh, that's a small one. And this one here, whoa, that's a humongous one. And over here, that's a pretty big one. And so this doesn't go well. So I prefer to have my mouse out here when I do this, and then just use the bracket keys in my keyboard. And the bracket keys in my keyboard are going to work much better right now. Well, when I use the bracket keys, it tried to bracket in there, and that's wrong. So, so ignore that, just click away. And let's go to the hardness. The hardness is going to tell me how hard or how soft my brush is going to be. And we're going to play around with this a little bit to learn more about the hardness of my brush. But just right now, let's assume that I want an almost hard brush. So 100% hard would be a very, very hard, sharp line brush. And 0% hardness would be a very, very soft, feathery, floozy brush, like one of these little guys, like fluffy, feathery brush. And that's a sharp brush. So we want a pretty sharp brush, because this is going to be some pretty sharp defined lines here against this flower, but not totally sharp. So I'm going to go with maybe, you know, somewhere in the 80s, 85 or something like that. Let's go ahead and click away to get rid of this. You can click back on this, like on and off, like I'm up here where I had this thing. I click one time, it's on, one time it's off. You could also click on some other neutral area of the gray right here to turn that off. And then we have our brush that is filled with black paint, and it's pretty soft, hard, but now I still need to make it smaller to fit in there, right? So I'm going to hit my little keyboard brackets, the square brackets. If you look at your keyboard, they'd be right to the right of the letter P. And I'm going to use the left side bracket to make my size, my mouse smaller, and or the right side bracket to make bigger. And so I'm making it small enough that the whole circle, and you won't see the red color inside, that's just a little spotlight I'm using for you to see my mouse. You'll just see a circle. And now that I can put my mouse over blue, I'm going to start painting with black and trying to make sure that I don't touch any of the pink. Now it's going to be harder and harder as it gets smaller and smaller. I need to make my mouse smaller and smaller.
Diana,
Yep.
I thought I clicked on the brush, but it says I've got pencil. And I
Okay.
hit B.
You hit the B. The last time you used the pencil, the brush might have been a pencil. So you need to go over here and click and hold the brush. And you could be that last time you'd use this tool, you use the pencil. So instead you have a pencil. So now go back to the pencil and click and hold it down really hard. And then choose the top, which is the
Right.
brush.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then here, as you can see, I'm hand painting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm making my brush tinier and tinier until I kind of get in there and it's as tiny as I can get. So this is kind of hand painting away. Now it's very easy, and I'm going to make it bigger so you can see it, to make a mistake and to suddenly kind of go like and take a piece out that I didn't mean to do, right? By the way, I'm going to get bigger here. I'm going to do Control Plus so you can see this a bit bigger. It's such a pity that floor didn't come back. So if you make a mistake like that, what's the first thing you should do?
Control Z.
Yeah, Control Z. Okay, don't try to fix it. But it so happens that some people don't think about it and they've gone too far. And if they've gone too far and you have gone out, and so I'm going to make my mouse a bit smaller again. Say that I just went off a little bit like that, right? And I've intruded into this petal. How do I fix that? after the Control Z, which is the best way, how else do I fix that?
Control Z and Shift.
Okay, so now instead of fixing it, say that this happened and I didn't notice and I kept working on this flower, and half an hour later, I noticed that a piece of petal is missing and the Control Z is too far, it won't work anymore. So
History.
X and go to paint with white and bring it back.
yes, the opposite of painting with black is painting with white. Okay, so if I was taking the blue away by painting with black, and I also took some petal away by painting with black. Now I didn't want to take petal away, I only want to take blue away. So the opposite would be to paint with white. If I paint with white, I'm going to bring back the petal, because remember everything, just keep an eye on this and notice that what I see is the flower, and the flower is painted white. So I'm pointing towards the mask, and what I don't see is black, right? So if I am not seeing this part of the petal that I want to see, it must be painted black. So I need to put some white in there. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to hit the X key so that now I'm painting with white. Okay. And now I'm going to try to paint back in the area that I know there should be some petal. And I'm going to do some of it right and some of it wrong. See, I brought in some blue again. See that? I brought some blue again, but that's okay. At least I brought my petal back. So all I need to do now to fix that blue again is do what?
Switch it back to black.
Switch it back to black with the X key. And now I paint some black here again, right? So I kind of go back, black and white, white and black. And it's good to zoom up quite a bit like this. And then I hold down my space bar. So I move to the next spot. And now I still have black on my mouse. So everything I want to get rid of, I paint with black on my foreground. And I'm going to keep going as far as this little color brush works, and this size brush works. And then when it gets too small like that, I have to make my brush smaller with the little brackets. And then I go in there and I can do a better job of the little tips. And then in here, there's a little bit with a small brush that I can fix. Okay. So I'm taking any blue out by painting white on my mask. And then when I go kind of bizarre, like there, made a mess. Yes, if I just made the mess, I do Command Z. But if the mess was a while ago, I paint with white. So I switch with my X key and I go back and I paint back again with white. Okay. So that gives me a chance. And many times when you paint back with white, many times you kind of go overboard because you don't know where the lines are, and you bring back a bit of blue. Well, that's okay. Then you hit the X key again and paint back with black what you don't want. So you kind of have to go back and forth quite a bit. Does that make sense, you guys? If it doesn't make sense for one of you, please speak up. I want to be, there's very few of us. There's time to spend a lot of time making sure that this masking process is down pat and you guys become like masking experts. If I start trying to paint out some blue, white and discover that I did it the wrong way, again, Control Z, and then I switch the X, and then I know that I get the right color now. Okay, so I'm going to go around, clicking my space bar down to keep dragging myself over, and I'm going to keep painting any place that I see this extra blue that didn't make it completely, because the select subject did a great job of almost selecting everything correctly, and then the details have been left to me, the little tiny details like this. Okay, so I'm going to go in and go all around the flower. While you guys do that, ask me if something is or isn't working. Any questions? Keep going around the flower. Is this a bit tedious? Well, the better you get the initial selection, the easier it is. But you always end up having at pixel level to do a little bit of retouching of your own. Okay, so I don't have it here. I usually show it when I'm in the States. I didn't bring my Wacom tablet with me. I'm using a mouse right now. But I highly recommend that if you're going to be doing a lot of this, I know that Bonnie does a lot of this, some of you guys do a lot of this, that you should try to use a graphic tablet or a graphic stylus instead of a mouse, because a mouse is not the best way to draw, right? So you can do a kind of a good job, but if you're going to be doing a lot of this, you're never going to get as good a job as if your mouse was an actual pencil shaped thing. Okay. And whenever you're in class at home again, in Santa Barbara, I can show you mine, or in class, I have one to show you. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. As you can see, by being zoomed out, now I can look and see how nicely cut out all these flowers that I worked on are. And if I spend a bit of time, I'll see that I have to go and do this all around. Okay. All around. There's not that many more, just a few more. I was going to say I'll leave them be, but there's not that many more. So I'm going to zoom in again and do a few more.
How do you get
Are we doing that? I'm
signs?
happy to give a
That's
hand.
a graphic stylist.
What's that?
How do you get a graphic stylist?
Okay.
That a
So you
hardware?
can, yeah, you can buy one. I remember the Apple store had one the last time I went there, but you can buy one online or not. The good brand, I'm writing it in the chat here. Wacom graphic tablet or stylus. Oh, is that someone coming in? Yeah. Oh, Bonnie on your other computer. There we go. And so a Wacom tablet can run you they start at about $100 or maybe a little bit less, maybe $75.
I've got
So
one. I didn't know that's what you meant.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, a pen that acts as a mouse that you
Okay,
can control the same way you control your hand. You know, you'd have much more control over it than you have over a mouse. Okay.
exactly.
So now I'm going over these corners. Now it's hard to see if I'm doing a perfectly good job on the pedal because since I'm on a very light colored background, it might look like I'm doing a good job. The question is going to come when I put this flower on a dark background and see if I truly have gotten rid of all the little corners or not. So is everyone doing this with me? Are you going in and just kind of working on your little bits of blue? Yeah.
Yep.
Any questions there? Is it not working for someone? Are you getting the hang of white or black, black or white? Yeah. It's so nice when I have a small group of experienced students. It's a pity for the school because I know they're not making bang for their buck right now, but you know, I teach enough big classes that I'm not going to worry too much. I don't think I've taught a class this small in years. So I know many other teachers do, and we need about 17 people in a class minimum for it to be cost worthy. So I believe I have definitely always taught cost worthy classes. So I am happy to have you guys as my small team of students today. You'll get much more one-on-one attention. All right. So how's it going? Any questions? Are we done? Are you done with your flower cutting? Yes, no, maybe not yet.
I'm done.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to control control 0 out to fill my screen again with my flower, which now it has been hand selected. Okay. Now, just to practice again what we were trying to do before. By the way, God, my thing is working so much better now. I'm so glad I reset everything and restarted everything. It took me all break. And in fact, as you guys saw, a little bit over. But I'm finally able to share. It's not stopping. So now I want to create another background here in the bottom. So I want to put something else. Okay. So let's go. I could either select all and fill with a color, which is fine, but I think I'd rather bring in a background that I have. There's two things I can do with this photo. I can bring in a background for this photo, or I could take this flower and take it to another photo, right? So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to head over to Bridge again, and let's choose the background that we're going to use for this flower. And I have a couple of different backgrounds that we could be using. I could use this little kind of parchment combo paper, or I could have it flying over a starry, starry night, or I can have it in the desert, Now, how do I choose which one of these is a better choice, right? Like, how do I find out which one would work better? I'm going to let you guys tell me, what would you do right now to tell me if
Well,
one of these is
I
a
don't think I'd
better
want to
choice than
take
the
a
other?
Starry Night because it's a flower that looks like it has sunlight on it, so I wouldn't want a Starry Night.
So one good point of view that she's mentioning is that this looks like a flower that has some bright light on it, and it wouldn't make sense to have it be a starry night. Let me just say that if you're trying to make it look real, that matters very much. But if you're putting it over a starry night, it kind of if the choice is to put over a starry night, then it matters a bit less where the sun or light is coming from, because in the end, it's not trying to be realistic, right? So I've taught you before that that's a great point. If this flower were trying to be in a field of flowers and you just happen to not have any Gerbers and you want a Gerber daisy and you want to make a flower out of it or put it in a vase in a bedroom, and you don't have flowers in that vase, you put this flower in the photo. But when my options are some parchment paper, a desert, or a nighttime flower, I guess it matters a little bit less if the light matches. I'm just wanting to put that I made that comment and you picked on up it really well another time, but put it in context that when we're clearly not doing a realistic photo, maybe it doesn't matter so much, right? But other than that, thank you, because you always have to look at the light very much so. All right. Any other thing I should take into account? Penelope's point was well taken. Anything else I need to consider if I'm going to put one photo into the other? Something much more technical based rather than taste based?
You don't want the colors to clash.
Okay, I kind of said I didn't care about taste, as in I don't care if it looks good as much. And let me, sorry, I just did something that messed up. I was trying to do something and I ended up messing up. So give me a second while I reset workspace. Okay. I said I didn't care so much about the color. And in this case, I could even change the flower color, right? So although the colors, I don't mind if it matched. Now go and put your brain on something technical. Yeah, obviously the flower will stand out more against the sky than it would against the desert because of the colors, right? But right now, think of a technicality that might matter here. A technicality.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about when I've had you guys read and learn about resolution.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Okay.
want to pick something that was too small. You'd want something that was about the same size as your picture.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure that your photos have some corresponding reality within resolution, right? You know how we saw Dorothy's image and we saw how her image can't get any bigger than 3x4? Well, what if this flower can become 20 by 10? And I try to put it in there. I have a very tiny little logo and a huge flower. I can always shrink my flower. That's fine. What if it's the other way around? What if I have a huge logo, 20 by 10, and this flower can only be 2 inches? And I want it to be the centerpiece of the logo. Well, it's not going to work the other way, right? Because I can't stretch my flower to fit into the logo, right? So you need to make sure that whatever is going to be your background is going to be big enough to have this flower fit in it. And if that doesn't work, then you have to choose another photo. So let me give you an example. See this one here? We're going to do this later. We're going to see this one that's kind of next to the end. It's a white one. If I hit the space bar to see it without opening it in Photoshop, this is a photo of open doors, right? And we're going to put something inside those open doors instead of just that blank wall. But if what I'm trying to put in there doesn't match with the resolution of this photo, if this flower, say, can't be any bigger than like a mouse, I can't stretch it out to make it feel like it's a giant flower in here, because that wouldn't work. On the other hand, if my flower turns out to be 10 times as big as this door, yes, I can shrink my flower and it'll look like only a couple of petals are hanging. So you need to compare the size of the photos that you have, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to spacebar again to bring it down, and how we find that information out is up here in the bridge metadata area. So let's find out what we can about this flower first. So I'm gonna click on the pink Gerber daisy flower. And I go over here to the right, and what I find out about it is that it has 5,250 pixels wide, the whole photo, not just the flower, but the whole photo is 5,000 pixels wide by 3,500 pixels tall. So that's a lot of pixels, right? That's a lot of pixels that make up this flower. Now I'm only trying to pick the flower, not the whole background. So if I kind of eyeball it, if this is 5,000 and half of this would be about 2,500, right? And it's actually a little bit less than 2,500 because we don't need that bit either. So maybe this is like 2,200 pixels. Like I'm just eyeballing it, but does that make sense? If from here to here, we have a 5,000, 5,200, right? Does that make sense? What's about half of 5,200? Let's say 2,600. You guys understand what I'm doing? I'm trying to figure out how wide this flower might be in pixels, yeah? So I know here, because of this little number right there, that the total width of this is 5,261 pixels and the height is 3,500 pixels, yeah? So half of that, which is about as big as this Gerber is, would be about 2,600 pixels. But then you take off another whole chunk here. So maybe I take off another, I don't know, 300 pixels here, and I'm left with about 2,200 pixels. I'm kind of guessing here. I'm not hearing any yeah, something. You guys get what I'm doing, or are you totally puzzled about what I'm doing?
I'm a little puzzled because I was comparing the flower we cut out with that one. They seem to be the same size, not taking the color and background into account.
So here's the deal. Let me go to Photoshop. Thank you. Joyce gave me a big thumbs up. Anyone else who got it, give me a thumbs up. This entire width of this photo is 5,200 pixels. That's what I know. Imagine that means it's 5 inches, 5.2 inches, right? Now I'm trying to figure out what size does this flower's width make? And so I basically have to imagine quite a bit less than half. So half of 5.2 inches would be 2.6 inches, right? So I'm counting about 2,600 pixels. So I'm just trying to, how do you call it when you guess? What's that? I'm trying to guess.
Ballpark?
Estimate, yeah, estimate. So I'm estimating 2,600 pixels would be from here to here. So if I divide this by 1, 2, 3, 4, so maybe this is about 1, 2, 4/4, 3/4 of that. So anyway, let's just say that it's about 2,000 pixels. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing, but just a general guess. All right. And the height is going to be probably pretty similar to 3,500, maybe 3,200. Okay, so that's the size of that full flower. If I were to try to put that flower inside of this door, let's see if it's going to work. Let's click on this door. How many pixels do we have in this door? Well, look at that. Not bad. This is a very similar amount of pixels. See how it's also 5,200 wide by 3,744? That's nice. I could probably put the flower in here and it would be almost right. Does that make sense? Because both of these are pretty much the similar amount of pixels. So proportionally, the flower is going to be a bit bigger than this doorway, but we can always make it shrink it down if I want to see the whole flower, and that'll be good. Let's instead imagine that I want to put this flower on this boy's, I'm going to have a little flower here kind of up on his lapel, pointing down right there, right there. Okay. So he's just kind of sitting here. I know that he probably last thing he wants is a flower, but maybe I'm going to have a little flower here with a stem down to his arm, right? If I want to do that, does that make sense? What size is this boy's photo? I click on it, I look here in the metadata and it says it's 853 pixels tall by 1280 wide.
Very small.
It's much smaller than the flower, isn't it?
Mm.
Flower would cover the whole thing.
Yeah, if I bring that flower in here, it's going to be humongous. Now, is that a problem? Is that
Yes,
a huge problem?
yes.
You can always make the
Hmm.
flower smaller.
Or
Exactly, as
bigger?
long as I'm fine. If I want to make the flower smaller, I'm fine. If I want to make the boy bigger, I'm not fine. I can always make things smaller, but I can't make them bigger easily. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And we did learn a trick the other day about how to make some things bigger. So we're gonna hold off on the possibility of making the boy bigger. We can, but in general, we're gonna try to find things that size-wise fit better. So let's go ahead, and I had offered us to do this night or that, but instead, how about we do use, let me look at the time. Hold on, I'm looking at, how are we doing? I'm trying to
Time's
convert.
good.
Got
Yeah,
about
I'm
30
trying to
minutes?
convert. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and open up this door. I was going to use it with another image, but I like it for this. So let's open up this door. Let's double click on this door and open it up in Photoshop. Okay.
Yep.
And now we can either bring the flower to the door or the door to the flower, right? Either way. So how about we first cut out. Let's bring the let's bring the flower to the door. We need to do a little bit of work on this first. Okay. So first, let's cut this thing out from inside the door that we're seeing. Okay. So it'll look like the door's open into nothingness. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I'm going to find the best way to do this. And here's the deal. If I make a selection here of a subject, it's probably not going to select the inside of my door, is it? Because the inside of the door isn't the big subject matter of this photo, is it? I could use some quick selection tools to make some kind of a selection in here, all of the quick selection tools. Probably not going to work to make a really clean cut. So let me show you another tool for when you have something that's probably as good as a rectangle, but not really. Like if I try to use the rectangle selection that I taught you first, if I try to do this, it's probably not going to be exact. Actually, it's somehow whoever did this photo managed to get a pretty good, almost straight lines, which is pretty amazing. Maybe they on purpose did it this way. Look at that. I was going to say it's not going to be a straight line, but in fact, they kind of did a straight line. But just to teach you a better way, because unless it's on purpose done, it's like 99% of the times you will not get a perfect rectangle to cut out. That's not how the world works. Things aren't a perfect rectangle. This must have been photoshopped this way. So let me show you another trick. When you have straight lines, but you can't use the rectangle, over here on the left, you see the lasso tool. The lasso tool allows me to make handmade selections, and it's very hard to imagine that I'll be able to hand make any kind of selection that looks good by hand, right? Usually that's what a
Mhm.
handmade selection is going to look like, right? So I'm going to do deselect. I like to do shortcut deselect, which is Control D. Okay. So I do Control D to deselect, but you can go to select and deselect. So if you click and hold the lasso tool, there's this really cool one here, the polygonal lasso tool. Polygonal lasso tool. Let's go to that one. Now, this is the best bet you have for when you want to go, I guess I can't go that big, for when you want to make straight lines. Does everyone have that guy in hand? Let me go. We're going to practice it a few times and then we're going to use it. So look what happens with this tool. You can click and then you get like this little, like a spider web. It sticks to you. See, it's sticking to me. You'll see it when you do it. And then when you click again, you make another corner and then it kind of sticks to you. And then you make another corner right there. And then you make another corner and then another one. See how I can define things that are straight lines? And then when I'm ready to be done, I have to find the very beginning, and the beginning won't happen. See how right under my tool, there's a little zero. See how here I don't have a zero. If I'm nearby, I don't have a zero. But if I go and touch with the tip of my mouse, the other line, I get that little kind of circle. When I do my final click, then I get a selection happening out of straight lines. I'm going to Command or Control D to get rid of this one. And this time I'm going to try to make a selection that's the inside of this door. So I'm going to put my mouse right in here and I'm going to click. And then I'm going to click on where I have this little spotlight, which is in my way. And then I'm going to click in here again, and I'm going to leave that little step so that it looks like we're stepping into that little guy. And then I'm going to click in here.
Diana, would it help if you
And,
zoomed it larger a little bit?
I'll try. It's just that when I zoom, I can't get the whole door. But yeah, let me
Okay.
just do one
That's a
corner.
question.
Let me just do one corner so you can see better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to click, I'm going to take the spotlight off, which normally is really useful, but this time it's not because you're not seeing my tool. So here's the tip of the arrow is my tool. I'm going to go for the inside of this doorway, like what I'm seeing, the doorway, the sill, and then what's behind. So I'm going to click right in that little corner right there on the inside of the doorway. And then I'm going to go over here and click on the inside of this windowsill, which I guess is somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start going down, but here's where I get kind of stuck because, oh, it is going down with me. Oh, that's cool. It's going down. Then I'm going to go all the way here and I'm going to click on the edge of this inner, I'm going to try to leave that little step so that we can see it. And then I'm going to go over, click in here, right? And then I'm going to go up again. And I'm going to click in right there. Okay. Is that working for you guys?
Not yet.
Yep,
So
it's awesome.
it's not the, it's the best way you can make something that's kind of straight. That's not normally straight. This example, I had not actually attempted to do it. Happens to be an example where they probably prepared for somebody to do this. So they had probably already straightened this doorway, because otherwise there's no chance they would have gotten it so good. Going down,
Ah.
I'm just adding a teensy little strip to that
Uh-oh.
because I had kind of missed, so I have to wait and touch the end. So you have to wait until you see the end. All right. It doesn't need to be perfect. You guys can fix it later. But right now I've made a selection of my doorway. Is everyone there? Has everyone got that?
Yeah.
Kind of one way or another?
Yes.
So now I want the door to disappear. Just like we disappeared the blue background of the Gerber daisy. What did we do? When something needs to disappear, what did we do?
Paint it black. Make a
Mm,
mask.
Make a mask first. I was gonna say yes, but you forgot the mask. So good. So now, how did we make that mask?
Down there.
Yeah, down here in the bottom of the layers, the rectangular box with the dark circle. Let's click on that. This is making a layer mask, not there's many kinds of masks. So this is a layer mask. Okay. So last time we had the flower selected and we dropped out all of the blue stuff. This time we selected the inside of the flower, just like before. We selected the flower and all the blue stuff side away. This time we selected the inner doorway and thus all of the door and walls fell away. The same thing happened, except for this time, this isn't what we wanted, right?
Mhm.
Last time we selected the flower and thus when we created a mask, all the extra outside stuff fell away. This time we selected the inner part of the doorway, but it's what we wanted to get to disappear. So when the rest fell away, at first you go, oh, that was not what I wanted. But the whole point is that it was the easiest thing to select. So we selected the inner part of the doorway. You always select what's easiest thing to select. And it would have been much harder to select all the other stuff than to select the inner. And now we just invert our mask. What was black becomes white and what was white becomes black. How do we do that? Hold down the control key and tap the letter I for invert. And now we have exactly what we wanted. If you look at our mask, now the part that we want to see is white, which are the white walls, and the part that we don't want to see is black, and that's the inner portion of this doorway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what were the keystrokes again?
Control or command, and then you tap the letter I.
Aye, okay.
If you do it again, control or command and tap the letter I again, you invert the mask again. See how it goes back to showing us the inner part of the doorway and hiding the outside, control and command I. And now it goes back and forth, back and forth. The white mask and the black portion of the white in the back are switching, inverting from one another. Right? Does everyone have a very empty space behind the door now?
Mhm.
Okay.
Not quite.
Right, so where are you and how can I help you?
Mask is that. And then control I.
God, it got so much better. My Photoshop, I'm not having a single problem. And all I
Okay,
had
got
I
it.
restarted everything and it's doing so well now. How crazy. Why did it get so bad before? Okay. So now what we have to do is bring either that flower in here or bring this background to the flower. Either way, it doesn't matter. One or the other has to happen, right? So both of these are masks with layers. Okay, and I go back to the pink here. We have a mask on that layer, and then I go over here and we have a mask on this layer. So whatever we want to do, we need to take the entire mask with us to the other side because we're not sure yet if the mask is perfect. We don't want to completely break this up. What if we need to fix the mask a bit? So let's take our move tool. Okay, change tool. We leave the magnetic lasso tool and we go up to the move tool. Let's go ahead and work in here in this one. I'm going to Is it going to let me just see. Let me see if there's a right click version of it, because I don't know if we can do it as a right click. Let me see. Huh. I don't know that it's going to let me from layers. I just didn't know there was an option there. So I'm going to go ahead and watch me do it first. I'm going to put my mouse here on the layer, right? On the gray part of the layer. I'm going to drag up to the name of the pink Gerber daisy. When I'm done, I switch to pink Gerber daisy. I'm going to go back and I'm going to drop this right there. Whoops. Hold on. And I'm going to drop it right there. Sorry, not where I had dropped it before. So let me Control and Z. So watch. I'm going over to the layer. I'm dragging the layer from the gray part of the layer up to the where it says pink Gerber daisy, waiting for the pink Gerber daisy to appear. Now I'm going to bring my mouse down onto this, but hold down the shift so that it drops in centered, and then let go of your mouse.
Mhm.
And it's going to drop in nicely centered. See that? I'm going to do that again. Command Z. So go over here, put your mouse not on the pixels or not on the mask, because if you do that, you only bring the mask or the pixels. I want us to bring the entire layer. So put your mouse on the gray part of the layer. It makes a difference what you hold on to. And then drag it up to the name of the other file. Once it switches to that file, bring your mouse in, your hand in, and then hold down the shift key so that it drops in kind of nicely centered, and let go of your mouse. And then that dropped in kind of nicely centered. You see that? Did that work for everyone?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So I'm going to stop my share your screen, and I'll give you a hand with that step. Okay. So grab that. Yeah. Click on that area. Now go all the way up to the name Pink Gerber Daisy. Way up at, oh, let go. Okay.
I ran out of the
Try it
space.
again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Go up to the Pink Gerber Daisy. Yeah. Now put your hand down, move down to the center of the picture with your hand. Yeah. And now hold down your shift key. And now let go of your mouse. There you go. Now I don't understand why you have all that blue stuff out there.
At one point, there was something down here. I clicked on it and everything turned blue. So this is probably in the preferences, maybe, I don't know. Instead of black, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because you can change the color of the space out there. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not part of the image. The image for sure, that's just kind of what we see as gray or black for the rest of us. You're seeing as blue, but it's not the blue of the flower. Okay, just so you all know, the rest of you guys. Okay, thank you. There you go. You got it. Anyone else who needs a hand with that?
Nope.
Did you all manage to pull it over?
Yep.
Okay.
You said you have to hold shift to center?
What the shift does, let me just show you. What the shift does is if I bring it without a shift. Okay.
You're not sharing.
Oh, thank you. There you go. All right. So what happens is that if I bring this over without the shift and I just drag it over, wait until it changes and then let go, it can pop in anywhere. And then I have to move it around, which isn't such a big deal, but sometimes that's confusing. When you hold down shift, it pops in centered. Okay. So that's all. By holding down shift, it automatically popped in kind of centered to my image, but you don't have to. You can just pop it in
Well,
wherever and then drag it in.
I've tried it and I held shift and it's not going into the center. So that's why I was wondering.
You hold the shift down and then you let go of your mouse first. And then you let go of your shift. You want to give it a try? You want to
shift do you press shift when you're on the first image already?
No, you don't press shift until you're about to let go and you decide you want it to let go of it centered. So you bring it over without a shift.
Yeah, that's not working.
You go and choose the pink Gerber. All right, so let's go ahead and share your screen. And let's go for
Well, I
that.
don't think you'll see it because it's me holding down a key.
Well, but
So-
yeah, sometimes I can look and see something else that's weird, and that's why I can tell what's happening just by seeing. Many times I can see. Not always, but
Yeah.
many times I can.
So I'm clicking here, dragging,
Dragging
going
over
to the
there.
daisy,
Just wait for a little, put it
pressing
there.
shift,
Now hold down shift. And
pressing
now let
shift,
go of
and
your
then I
mouse.
let go
Let
of the
of your
mouse. And then it
Huh.
just goes to the corner.
And you're
I
pressing
did it a few
shift,
times and it
not alt or anything like that. You're actually pressing shift. huh?
no, just shift. Just shift.
Hmm.
Is it
Well,
different for PC?
It,
Maybe?
I mean, it's, oh, look what's happening. Yeah, it's working actually. Look at that. So funny. This is what I'm saying. When I see things, I see things. Look at the almost top left of the image. You have a little selection there. Do you see a little tiny marching ants there? Top left, you're
Oh,
almost
yeah,
there.
now I do.
So it's
I
centered
did
to your
not
selection.
know
So
when
go
I
ahead
did
and,
that.
yeah, so go
that's kinda
select, deselect everything. And now let's try
this
it again. And now,
Okay, got it.
there you go. It was centering around that little, do you see what? It was centering around your
Yeah.
little selection. It was dropping as much as it could. Whenever I say, show me, I sometimes see something that otherwise I wouldn't see. And there's no way to explain it other than by just seeing it. And I saw it. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. It's weird. I just approach someone and people go, oh, I didn't even notice that. And I just, I got this bigger picture kind of eyes, and that's why I wanted you to share. Perfect. All right. Everyone else, do you have your wall and your sunflower? Gerber
Yes.
Daisy? Yes,
Yeah.
Penelope, Vera,
Yes.
Yes,
and I haven't heard from you all. Maybe you've been saying things in the background, but I haven't heard.
I'm
much.
caught up with you.
Perfect. All right. So now we have the flower already in the background, the whole window in whatever we call this, the door, the opening of the door. I can grab the flower and move it around, right? And I can try to make it bigger or
but
smaller.
you're not sharing.
Oh, I'm not sharing. Hold on. Okay. So now I have this flower is what I was saying that I can move around to my heart's content. I can make it smaller. I can make it a tad bigger depending on where I want to put it. But since we took the background off of the flower, now we still have nothing there. That's nothingness, right?
How did you
So
move it?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
How did you move it? You were in the move
Oh,
tool?
I'm just clicking on it with the move tool. Yeah. And I still have auto select turned on. I told you that it depends. I kind of like it sometimes and other not. Right now, auto select is turned on. So all I need to do is pick on the flower and it works. Now, if the flower were to disappear a little bit back there, that auto select wouldn't work because it's gone, right? So then I would have to turn that auto select off, select my layer, the layer that has the flower, and then I can bring it back in, right? So remember, when you don't see something, you actually can't use the auto select. When you see it, it's good. But if you don't see it, then as long as you don't have auto select turned on, you can select the layer. And then see, I'm moving what seems like wall, but it's moving the flower. Okay, just wanted to show you the difference between when the auto select is on or not. So now you can move it by touching it. But all right, so I could make it much bigger. I could have half this flower peeking in here only. If I do that though, I, for the most part, would be affecting the resolution of the flower. So ideally, I won't do that. Ideally, I would go smaller and not bigger, right? But what's missing here is a background to the flower, don't you think? Because that is nothingness. We took the background of the blue flower off and now we have a hole there. So let's bring one more thing in here. I want us to do a save as first though, because we've been adding so many things here that if something bad happens, it will definitely happen, I am sure, too, at this point. So let's go do a file save as. What a difference. Everything is working now. I have no idea I was battling so much with it before. So save as. let's go to, I'm already in my drive, so I'm gonna save it in here. I'm gonna call it Pink Gerber Daisy. And I'm gonna call it Pink Gerber Daisy indoor or something like that. And say save. Oh, I already had, okay. I forgot that I had already saved this one as masking. Okay, whatever. So now I have two versions. So let's go to, I'm going to use us a different way. So I already showed you how to import things by opening it up and dragging it over, right? So let's go and we don't need this door anymore, right? So we can get rid of this and I don't need even the mask because I have the whole layer there. So when I go back here and try to turn this one off by clicking on this little X, it asks me, do you want to save it? Well, you guys can save it if you want, but I don't really need it saved because I already have that layer with its mask on the other side, right? So I'm going to say no to this one. I don't need to save this one. Okay, now if you want to save it on your own computer that way, that's fine. But I have the whole layer here with a mask. So let's just go ahead and practice being, good manners, so to say, with our program or their application is to get names on it. So I later know how to come back to it. Let me double click in there and call this one Daisy. And I'm going to double click on this one and call this one door, or actually opening or hole. Anyway, door. So instead of opening another file and then bringing it in, we've got 10 minutes to go. I'm just saying my alarm rings and I need to remind myself, why is it ringing? It's because it's time for class to go. Okay, so we're going to bring it in from inside of Photoshop this time. Instead of going to Bridge, we're going to import. So it's a different way of bringing in an image. So let's go to File. And we're going to, where's the place? Maybe it's under Edit. Where's Place? File. Place. Here we go. Place, and we want to do the difference between place embedded and place linked. Right now, I want to place embedded. In the future, we can talk about place linked, but I want to place embedded. So click on place embedded. Now we're going to go find wherever you guys have the other photos. Okay, so this is a little bit of file navigation. You guys are mostly, all of you are at home, so you know where you put your photos. I have to go back to Google Drive, shared drives, and Photoshop, shared drive. So this is just, you have to know more about file management this way. It's easier to do it with Bridge because you know. And download Photoshop class files. Double click. Oh, I didn't mean, I double clicked without meaning for this to be, so let me do it again. File, place embedded. This thing is lagging, so I didn't know it was there. So now I'm going to scroll down and I am going to put that Starry Night in between the flower and the door, and I need to find it. You guys can choose another photo if you want. I am looking for the Starry Night. Where is it? Here it is. It's called Starry Night. I'm going to put the Starry Night in between. I'm going to say place. And what I want is enough clearing for the door to have Starry Night behind it. I don't want these bushes, so I might need to make it a little bit bigger. But what I want to show you is how it comes in when you place a file. See these little X kind of shape on top of it? Has this come up for you guys already?
Yes.
Okay, so this shape means that it's embedded as a smart object. We're going to talk a bit later more as what that means. But what it also means is that it still can be transformed. It fit itself automatically into the edges. Had this been bigger or smaller, it would have fit itself automatically. Maybe I want it bigger. Maybe I want it in a different direction. Right now, what I want to do is I want to put it in between. So I want to put it behind, down here behind the daisy so that I can see if it works. If I'm going to drag it down all the way behind the daisy. So now I can see whether the tree is pushing in on the edges, and I see that it's not. So where it is absolutely perfect. Does that make sense?
Funny.
And so now I have my little composition. I can play around with the flower, make it bigger, make it smaller. I'll let you guys do some creative work of your own on this. But if you want to make the flower a little bit smaller or bigger, I highly recommend also making it a smart object. What does that mean? If I make this flower smaller right now, so watch a minute, you guys, don't do this. And I'm going to tell you how to do this later. But if I make this flower smaller right now myself, and I make it just really tiny, and 1 second, because it's kind of disappears from here. But if I make a little tiny flower like this right now, right, really tiny, I'm purposely making it really, really tiny. And I say go. I have lost all that stuff that I lost is gone and lost forever. All those pixels right now, this flower is made out of only like, I don't know, 200 pixels instead of out of 2,600 pixels. So when I try to make it big again, so just watch, when I try to make it really big again, which is what I'm trying to do right now, and I need to make it fit behind the doorway. The Photoshop is having to invent this flower because I lost all that. And this is about the same size it was before. So I'm going to hit return. I'm not having you do this because this is what not to do, right? And now there you go. See how fuzzy my flower is now? See how I lost all that nice quality of that flower? Of course, I made it really, really, really tiny and really, really big to give you an idea. But what happened is that I threw away all the pixels that define this flower. And then I stretched it out, and Photoshop had to interpolate a whole bunch, create a bunch of pixels to make it look like that flower. And I lost the quality of that flower. So I'm going to actually undo that. That was what not to do, but I'm going to show you now how to do it. Okay, so now I'm back to where you guys are. I have a nice, beautiful, sharp flower. Yeah. I'm going to make this into a smart object. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing I did, but this time it's going to be fine, but you're all going to do it together. And then after that, we'll have the class be over. So let's select this layer, Daisy layer right here. And let's go up here to layer and call this a smart object. Convert to smart object. Convert to smart object. Now this is going to work for making it smaller, but we don't want to make it bigger. All right. So I've converted into a smart object, and the only way I can tell that it's smart object is because here on the layer, see now I have this little gray box here. Let me put my spotlight on again. See that little gray box here? I told you guys that the Starry Night came as a smart object, and see how it's true. It has this little box there because I placed it, but the Daisy was not a smart object, and I just converted it into a smart object. So what this means is I've kind of protected it. Now, let's make the same thing I did before, which is to make it smaller. And how I did that, I did a shortcut is Control T. Or if you don't like shortcuts, then you can go to Edit, Free Transform, which is Control or Command T. So click on that. And so here's my flower that I'm going to now click on one of these corners and make really tiny, really tiny, really tiny, really tiny. And don't tell me I don't want it tiny for this photo. Just do it for the learning experience, okay? So I made it really tiny. Now I have to bring it back so you can see it. Made a really tiny flower, even tinier than before. Mini, tiny, tiny. And when I'm done, I have to hit return with my keyboard, or I have to go up here to this check mark and say go with the check mark. And then there it is, my teensy weensy little flower, right? Did everyone get here with me? Did everyone make a little teensy weensy little flower?
Yes.
And Joyce, Vera, Peggy, you all got a teensy weensy little flower? All right. Now we're going to make it big again. So Penelope, do you need a hand? Are you just not yet, or you're stuck somewhere?
I'm not sure. Let's see. I clicked on smart object, but now I don't know.
Good. Now go to edit and edit and free transform.
Transform. Okay.
Now
And which
everyone
one?
else, do this to everyone else. Do
Transform,
edit,
scale,
transform.
rotate.
Nope, just free transform. Not
Okay.
transform, but free
Oh,
transform.
free transform, okay.
Free
got it.
transform. Okay, so now you grab the corners of yours and make it tiny. And the rest of us, now go again to edit, free transform. And now we're gonna make it big again. We're gonna stretch it out and make it be as big as it was before. We're not gonna go any bigger. Okay? And how do you know if you're not gonna go any bigger? Because if you look up here, it's telling me 100%, 97%. So I know that if I make it much bigger than it was before, now it's starting to say 111%. So that's going bigger than it was. And we don't want to go any bigger than it was, right? So, you can also just type in here 100%, or you can just watch those numbers and make sure that, you don't go any bigger than before. You see where I'm showing you the numbers there, 100%. So I'm going to go at about 100%. So this is about the same size I had before. Okay. And when I have this size, and you can just go small and big all in one fell swoop, Penelope. Now, let's hit the check mark, or I like hitting the return key on my keyboard. I've made it from tiny to big. And look at the quality. It's perfect quality. It has not changed. You see that? And the only reason, as opposed to what I showed you before, is because I first protected it by making it a smart object.
Mhm.
Okay?
Good.
So when you make it a smart object, it didn't lose all its pixels. It just became visually smaller, but it didn't actually throw all those pixels out the window. So when you try to make it bigger again, there they were. The quality is still a perfect flower. Does that make sense? That's just
Yeah.
the
Can you use your
value.
mask?
That's the main value of having it be a smart object. What's the question?
Do you lose your mask when you make something a smart object? Like you can't go back and fix the mask again? The layer mask?
Oh. You're right. No, you don't, but you're right. I didn't even notice to show you that. Thanks for pointing it out. See how she said you lost your mask? Not necessarily. I don't have time to show you today. Really quickly, I'll show you something that that you'll see later. There's the mask. It's still there. I'll show you how I did this, but I'll show it to you next week. So you don't lose it. You just don't see it right here. Okay. It kind of goes into a little hidden layer. So you don't lose it. But thanks for pointing it out. I forgot to point that out. See how the mask of the flower seems gone, but it's not really gone. Okay, so I'm not going to get much more creative with this. I'm just going to leave it like right that, and I'm going to save this file. And I'm going to show you what the point that Joyce made about using the layer mask. We're going to talk more about it later. So I'm just going to save it because I already gave it a new file name. And then beginning to show you the power of smart objects. You guys already learned a bit about all of this, tiny little bit about this last time. And I'm going to show you more about smart objects because you guys are all pros and at least second class, if not more. And so I'll get to go a little bit further. So this is a little bit of almost like a little Photoshop 2 that many of you guys been wanting. And you didn't get. So yay. All right, Penelope, how are you doing? Did you get here? Penelope?
I think I got there, but I didn't see where the 100% was.
Oh, when you're doing the transform, then up here in the bar, before you hit the return or whatnot, then you see there the percentage width and height. I guess I ended up making mine a tad bigger. I made mine 100.79% from what it was. All right. So in width and in height, and they're linked. Okay. Oh, how funny. The class is over and my internet is saying that your connection is unstable for the first time since after the break. We totally lucked out. It's been fine during. All right.
Great.
So play around with this, guys. Come on. Can I give you guys, or my advanced students now? Can you guys between here and next Tuesday make something like this to show me?
Okay.
Come on, go and cut something up. Maybe with the files I have here, but for sure with maybe from files you have, just make a little composition of some kind. It doesn't need to be cool or cute. Show me the techniques. It doesn't even to be good. Just show me that you know how to cut some stuff out and composite some stuff, okay? I'm gonna give you guys that task.
Okay.
All right.
Deanna,
Yes.
I still have a bounding box around mine. How do you,
Yeah, you had yours because you had this little thing turned on. I saw it before. You have your show transform controls turned on. And when you do have that turned on, then your bounding box appears.
Got it.
So turn it off.
okay, I did.
And then you'll
Okay,
be-
great, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop my share, save the file, and I'm challenging you to show me something cool made out of this. And Dorothy, send me your file so that I can prepare it and give it to everyone so that we can work on it next Tuesday, okay?
Okay, which part of the file do you want?
This layered file that you just finished with, see if you can send it to me. And if not, if you can't send me the layered file, then if it's not too big, you need to put it up on your Google Drive. Well, it's okay. You can probably email it to me, and if it's too big, it'll come in as a Google Drive link. Send it through Pipeline and it'll work. If it's too big, send it to me through your Pipeline account, and then it'll send me a Google Drive link. Okay?
Okay.
Happy 4th of July.
Yay.
One last question, Deanna.
See?
Do you want a
Yeah.
screenshot or do you want a JPEG?
That's true. I forgot to tell you guys all know that I need screenshots of your pictures and stuff. So just screenshot is enough. I don't need JPEGs. But of the homework of the stuff you've done in class. But if you try something else out that you're trying that's really cool, send me a screenshot. And then when we're in class, if you want to, you can showcase your file. Okay?
Yeah, okay. You're just
All I
like
need-
math
all I
teacher.
need is
Show me your
screenshot.
work.
All I need is to see your work, but then you guys get to show it in class from your JPEG or from whatever. It'll be a layered file. It won't be a JPEG. And that's why I don't want you to send me the layered files. They're all too big. I only want Dorothy's layered file because we're going to work with it. But you guys show me a little screenshot, and then you guys can showcase your layered file in class if you prefer, if you want to. You don't have to. All right. Oh, I usually tried to say my goodbyes with my video on, but I had it off. So there we go. My goodbyes.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
See
Thank
you
you.
after the weekend. Bye.
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 Bye. Maybe it's because you had your video off.
No, I had my video off earlier today. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it still didn't work.
I turned the video off early on. Oh, well.
So they're coming to
Bye.
fix it next Tuesday, huh?
What's that?
Next Tuesday morning, they're getting a better,
Yeah, we already inspected the roof of the building, and they're gonna come in and install. The building already has this faster cable. It's fiber optic, yada, yada, 5G. They're gonna bring and connect this apartment building.
Have-
We live in buildings here, not in houses, and they're going to connect it to this floor. So, yeah.
have you, has it been 10 days yet? Are you still?
No, 10 days will be on Sunday. So on Saturday, we get my second COVID test, and we need to still be in quarantine for 24 hours until we get the results. And once we get the results, then we're free to go.
Okay, well,
So
so
on Sunday.
go outside and,
afternoon,
yeah, when you can go outside, take some photos of the street views.
Okay, we'll
Of
do that.
the houses and the street view. That'd be nice.
I will do that.
What's the city that
Okay.
you're, in? What
Buenos
city?
Aires.
Oh, okay,
Buenos Aires.
okay.
Buenos Aires, which in Spanish means good airs.
Mhm.
Because it was good air over here. So it's Santa Maria de los Buenos Aires, Saint Mary of Good Air. That's the name of her. It's the capital city of Argentina.
Yeah.
Okay. See you
Okay,
guys. Take care. Bye.
bye-bye.